you can use AI to analyze an image just like this example here. So I've provided an avatar and I've asked the question, what color is the avatar's hair? And I get back a response from the AI. And I thought I would record this video because there's a number of sort of tricky things with Bubble which are really quite niche, but are important in order to get this working. So let me just dive in. We'll start with the OpenAI API, which is that we're using responses. So make sure you've got responses checked and not chat completion. Responses is the newer endpoint, much more flexible. And if I just open up the documentation here, you can see how I kind of got to this point, which is that I can go through responses, and then I'm looking for image input. But if I click through an image input here, I then get more details, because here is the first issue. If you want to send an image to OpenAI, the example they give you here is that you have to give basically a public location of your uploaded image file. And so that's not a problem unless it is a security problem, in which case, yep, it is a problem, because if someone uploads an image to your Bubble app, you need to be really sure on whether they think that image can be publicly accessible. Now, there is a difference, of course, between securing something. Well, no, it's not a difference, but you can do security sort of through obfuscation, meaning that if a file is uploaded to your Bubble app, as long as the URL is not guessable, is that secure. Now, there is then actually using privacy rules and making sure that when you upload a file to Bubble, and let me just give you an example here. So because it highlights a limitation, if I just drop in the main picture uploader, if I wanted the file to only be accessible to people who had a session cookie, that then meant that privacy rules would allow access to that file, then I would mark it as private. That would mean that even if I shared the, someone who could access the file shared the URL, it would basically say that the file was inaccessible. Now, the problem with that is the file is then inaccessible to OpenAI, because OpenAI is going to go to that location and they're not a logged in user with the right privacy rules. They can't access it. Here is the other issue with the picture uploader, and indeed the main file uploader from Bubble, which is that as soon as a user drops an image in there, it is going to upload. It is being stored as part of your Bubble app storage. So if it's uploading and it isn't secure, then it's just there. It's on your server and you've not secured it. If they do upload it and it is secure, well, OpenAI can't access it. So here is the workaround. So by going more into core concepts, clicking through here, we can see that you can pass the image not just as a URL, but you can pass as an encoded base64 image. Now, frustratingly, Bubble doesn't give you the option to send it as CCAR, but it does show you how it should be displayed, which is basically identical to passing the URL. Now, I did have to look this up because I'm not a coder. I build stuff with Bubble because I've tried to learn to code and I can't. And if you're watching this, you're probably like me, which is that the F is basically something to do with presenting a string in Python. So really, you are just using the same API call as here, and inserting in what I discovered to be called a data URI, which is that you have basically the type of data is a PNG stating that's in base64, and then you get back this really long text string, and that is an expression of your image. I just Googled image to base64 and I found this website, and you will need this in order to get set up, because if we go into the Bubble API connector, you can see here that I've got a private key and header. Here's my private key, and I've set up an API call, made sure it's an action, and then I basically copied the example from here, copied this part here, including the curly brackets at the top, in. Now, here is another challenge, and I'm going to tell you how to overcome it, which is that when you initialize the call, you will need to provide a base64 value. Well, no, actually you don't, but here is a tip for if you need to initialize a call with a base 64 value, which is that you will want to make it as small as possible. So for this example, you can see I've uploaded a very simple avatar because it's my experience that Bubble struggles if you insert massive text strings into the API connector here. So you'll want to initialize it with something short. So I'm going to go ahead and just prove that it works. In fact, yeah, just to prove that it works, I'm going to paste in, take it from here, and I'm going to paste it in here, and then in fact, there we go. We can see, oh, it's getting stuck slightly. Maybe it's browser, maybe it's RAM, but anyway, Bubble doesn't like it. I've had the same thing when doing base64 work with PDFs. And you can see we get back our response just as a standard response from OpenAI. The avatar's hair color is brown. Right, now on to our next issue and solution, which is that if you were to use the image uploader, the picture uploader element, and you were to mark it as private, I believe that it's the case that you then can't just take a base 64 string from it. I've trawled the Bubble forums, I've tried that myself, and last time I tried this, basically the base 64 operation will not work on a private file. So here's the workaround. We use a alternative and frankly better, no pun intended, is a pun, it's not really a pun, uploader, which is the better uploader. It's a free plugin, it's well documented. The guy, developer's got a very helpful video, but it means that we can take a base 64 reading out of it, and unlike the picture uploader element, the file is not actually being stored on my server at any point, which is also helpful for dealing with file storage pricing Bubble, because Bubble has quite a hefty markup per gigabyte of file storage, particularly particularly compared to like just if you were to use AWS yourself. So here's my file uploader, better uploader. You have make sure you enable uploads to yes. By default, that's empty. Then you can add in some suggested file types, limited file types. The developer goes into far more detail about how you can make this very helpful for your users, limiting it to 1. Here's the key thing. You mustn't check this because we do want to make sure we get these base 64s out. And then to preview it, all you do is use a bit of simple HTML. In fact, my knowledge of HTML is limited. I could have written this myself, but I just asked ChatGPT to come up with it, which is you insert in, because this is a multi-file uploader, you insert it in the raw data's first item, and it's going to display it on the page. So then your workflow is going to look something like this. We make the call. We insert in the raw data's first item. Remember, we've made it into we've added in dynamic values at the right point. In fact, to make this work, I missed a bit of my demo. We would say here's the question. It's not private. Need to add in my multi-line trace safe. Yeah, there we go. And then I'm just setting a custom state to display the text back. So let me give you a demo once more. I've dropped my image, which is a PNG, into the uploader element. I've got my preview here. Again, this is all very rough, but now I'm going to ask the question, what color is this avatar's clothing? Analyze image. And I get back an answer. So there you go. That's how we tackle a number of issues. That's how we can take a file that's uploaded and turn it into base 64. That's how we can take a file that's uploaded and not actually store it on our Bubble app storage. And that's how we can take a file that's uploaded, send it through to a third-party API, and not have to worry about making that file private. If you've got any questions, as always, please leave a comment down below. And if you've found this video useful, please like and subscribe.